I'm Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. The Charlotte County Fall Fair takes place September 21st and 22nd at Ganong Nature Park. Here to tell us all about it are Cheryl Hewitt, Colleen Winchester, and Peter Heelis from the Charlotte County Fall Fair Committee. Thanks for you all being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Let's start off by talking about what each of you do on the committee. Cheryl, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm the Artisan and Food Vendor Coordinator, and very passionate with it. We have a large number of vendors attending this year. So if you come hungry, we've got 10 food vendors of unique menus, and we have lots of artisans showing their wares.
Awesome. And Colleen, what's your role with the committee?
I'm the chairperson. So this would be my second year being chairperson at Charlotte County Fall Fair Committee.
Awesome. And Peter?
I serve on the committee, but I'm also a member of the Ganong Nature Park board. And this committee operates under the board, so I liaison with the board as to keep the board informed of what's happening.
Well, Cheryl's given us a snippet of what we can expect this year, but Peter, I'll start with you. What are some of the highlights for the 2024 edition of the Fall Fair?
I think that I'll steal these ladies' thunder, but I think we have been, every year we ask what people would like to see, and one of the things that continually comes up is they want to see a demonstration, a dog demonstration with sheep herding demonstration. We've searched all over Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, but finally this year we've secured someone who's going to come and bring their dogs, trained dogs, and do sheep herding, and there'll be demonstrations twice a day, Saturday and Sunday, and where they will show you how the dogs herd the sheep and pen them for them. So.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting actually, yeah. It's out of Ripples Cove, New Brunswick, and it's Blake and Julia Anderson who are bringing their dogs and sheep.
So it's such a beautiful pastoral experience. If you love living a rural life, it truly is a celebration of that. Colleen, what about this edition of the festival are you most excited for this year?
It's really hard to pick and choose what I'm most excited about because there's so many good pieces to the fair that come together to make it the wonderful weekend that it is. But certainly our main show of having the sheep herding is a key piece. But there are so many pieces. I mean, we have musicians performing all day. So we have 9 different musical acts coming. So there'll be performances all day on Saturday and Sunday. The vendors, as Cheryl mentioned, so there's so much opportunity for all kinds of delicious, different types of foods and the vendors. But I think one of the key pieces for me is having so many activities and opportunities for children and adults alike to come and do all kinds of experiences or have all kinds of experiences. And I really love the fact that when they come through that gate and pay that gate fee, there's so much for them to do, and that's all inclusive in that, right? So that's always exciting.
You can either stay all day or both.
It's such a celebration of so many pieces of our community that come together in one weekend, right? So.
And you gave us a little preview, Cheryl, of how many vendors we can expect, but tell us a little more details from what's happening on your end.
My excitement is the food vendors, because we've got a lot of variety of different food vendors. So if you have never tried Mexican food or authentic Thai food, we have a vendor there. We also have Salty Fisher, the big food truck, which people do love because they have a lot of array of menu there. We also have Chinese called Chopsticks Panda, and he's coming, so he's got a good array of Chinese food. And we also have an Indian food vendor, samosas, different kinds of samosas. So what I like about that part of the park too as well, because I'm passionate with it, is you can come for a family picnic, which is nice. And we've got all these picnic tables set up right in front of the stage. So it's like a family picnic with musical entertainment. So you're welcome to get up, tap your toes, and enjoy the music and enjoy a family picnic.
It's a great way to discover new bands. I think last year I was eating Salty Fisher while watching the Nibs, which was a band I hadn't discovered before, and became an instant fan.
It's like dinner outside with live music. Family picnic, yeah.
Now, for people who might be new to our area, I'd love to hear from all of you just a little bit of the history of the fair and why it's such an important part of our community. Do you want to start, Peter?
Sure. The town originally approached a group of people in the 150th celebration of the town to say what they wanted to do was recreate the Charlotte County Fall Fair, which historically went on in St. Stephen. As a matter of fact, I got a brochure from 1909 which had 45 pages in it of activities that were happening in it, because your viewers would probably know that there was a giant racetrack, there were giant stands for shows to go on, and there were these huge barns where most merchants from the county came and displayed the new wares that were there. So it was a really interesting document to look at, and what the town wanted to do was try to recreate something like that, and that was 13 years ago. So we started it, we recreated it in the town of St. Stephen, and then we moved the next year to the park because it was so successful. So it's been there now, this will be year 13, but we missed 1 year because of COVID. So,
okay.
But it's the year 13 of the fair.
And how did the Ganong Nature Park become the place that we now think of as the home of the Fall Fair?
It really became the logical place because we had no place to display the animals that people brought. And there were all kinds of activities that were outdoor activities, and the only place in the community where had it was at the old arena, and there simply was we were very limited on what we could do there. Mm-hmm. So we expanded it by bringing it to a park that has 350 acres, and we try to use a lot of that park when we put the fair on.
Mm-hmm. And Colleen, why do you think this is such an important event for people in our part of the world to go to annually? It's something I don't miss every year, and it seems to be the case because there are thousands of people. It's not just a few hundred. This is thousands of people we're talking about.
There are thousands of people that attend. You're right, Vicki, and I think it's a really important piece because it's a celebration of what's happening in our county as much as possible. That's our big focus, and it's an opportunity for community to come together on all kinds of levels, whether it's coming together to just visit the fair and enjoy it and take part in all the activities, or whether it's coming together in a volunteer manner or being a part of the actual planning committee. So there's lots of opportunities and layers of opportunities for people to be a part of Charlotte County Fall Fair, and I think that's nice because it's very community oriented.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned how you can stay all day. You could stay all day both days. There's so much to do. Mm-hmm. How do you get the number of people who are involved in all the activities? I mean, it's not just the food vendors and the music. There's also painting for kids, games, rides. It's extensive what goes on there.
It is, and I would say a lot of that goes to the credit of the Fall Fair Planning Committee, and so a lot of reaching out to folks, the promotions and marketing that we do, and putting ourselves out there in terms of this is a great opportunity, please come be a part of it, or please come visit and enjoy it. And I think it's a really needs to be commended to the people on the committee for all the reaching out that they do. There's I would say we start in January with our very first committee meeting, and from there until the end of September, it's straight ahead. It's straight ahead. Lots of phone calls, and encouraging people to come and join us, and celebrating all the good reasons why it's a great thing for them to do. Right?
We start looking forward to it in fall, but you mentioned you start planning in January. How often are you meeting, and how extensive is?
Once a month up until about June, or July, we kind of expand more meeting dates because it is a huge event, and we need that time to really focus in and bring all these exciting events and set them in place so that when people come, they have an awesome experience. And we still have our door open. We need volunteers.
Okay, tell us a little bit about how that works. I know I'm going to give a shout out to my brother David Hogarth, who regularly volunteers for the Charlotte County Fall Fair. I don't know how he got involved. So
I'm sure he enjoys it.
I'd love to hear more.
Yeah.
I showed up last year and there he was.
Well, we're just welcoming.
Okay.
And we have so many areas that if you want to do an hour or 2 hours, or let's say you want to do a certain activity, we kind of leave that open up to the volunteer that's offering their services to find a fit that's good for them, so that they, when they leave on the end of that shift or the day, that I'm coming back next year. I loved it, and they get to partake in what they see during the fair. So it's a little bit of a good payoff.
Exactly. And so what are the kind of roles that you seek volunteers for? I think my brother enjoys the parking lot.
I think Colleen's best on that one because you're pretty well in tune with all the different areas.
There's a whole variety of areas that we need covered by volunteers, but it would run from, we have volunteers working at the gate, which we're fortunate to have some service clubs that help us out with that, and parking cars is a big one. We need a lot of people to park vehicles, and runners and floaters to get things here and there. We need extra volunteers in the kids zone, or there are other certain activities that we need to place volunteers at. People doing safety, exactly, bringing first responders along and having those folks on the grounds with us. On the wagon rides, right? Wagon rides, and when they do the wagon rides, they do a little historical tour on the wagon rides. So we need somebody on the wagon at all times doing the actual tour. Working in the volunteer center, which basically is a center that we create in the basement of the main building, where volunteers can go there and they pick up their T-shirts. There's food and water on hand, and like Cheryl says, we want our volunteers to come and have a really good experience with their volunteering, because we'd really like to have them back again the next year, right? So the volunteers are very important for us, because the bottom line is we couldn't have Charlotte County Fall Fair without them, and we want to make their experience a very positive one. So. Yeah.
Look at the men's club as an example.
Absolutely.
They're going to come and build a timber frame barn on the site. The men's club has been working every Monday night building a barn, which we erected the first time last week, and it'll come down to the fair, be erected there, and we'll have a barn that would have been reminiscent of a barn that you'd find in Charlotte County in 65 years ago.
Oh, cool.
So it's going to be built on Thursday, and because it all comes down in pieces, and we'll put it up, and that's all volunteer. Which is the amazing thing, is that the fair is run by volunteers, which is almost unheard of today, really, isn't it?
Good volunteers.
Yeah.
And when they leave happy, they come back. But like Peter said, there's so many activities that newcomers that come to the fair, it gives them a taste of Charlotte County. Because we expand from St. Stephen clear up to St. George. A lot of our visitors that come to partake in the fair is St. George, or St. John, and Moncton and Fredericton. We get a lot of visitors that flood in just to have a little taste of family, fresh air, fun.
The original policy was that if someone couldn't afford the fair, then you could volunteer for 4 hours, and then you got your pass for both days for just coming to volunteer. So, someone said, well, I just simply can't afford to do that. Well, all you have to do is volunteer. You don't have to volunteer the day of the fair. You could volunteer 2 days before the fair doing stuff, or 2 days after the fair. So all you got to do is become a volunteer, and then you become automatically entered into the fair, and you stay there you can be there both days.
If someone is watching at home right now and is interested in becoming a volunteer, what's the process for getting involved?
I think if they reach out to the Ganong Nature Park, there's a website, ganongnaturepark.com, and there's also the telephone number, which is 506-467, I believe, 9905. I better double check that. Yeah.
When it comes to something like the barn that the men's club is doing this year, can you first of all tell us a little bit more about that, because that's
it's an
exciting.
Amazing thing. I mean, it is, because of their using skills. The men's club, for the most part, are from the county, and they are older, shall we say? That's a polite way of saying it. But they have skills that that have been lost to a lot of people. So this is timber framing that they do. So we build it all with the same tools that you would have found 100 years ago. Now we do cheat a little, I can tell you, but and the barn will be all brought down in pieces and erected just like it would be if you were at someone's barn raising 100 years ago.
How cool!
So bingo, and up it'll go, and then we'll leave it up, and we'll fill it with what it would be like if you'd walked into a barn in Charlotte County, 75 years ago. You walk in, and it should be just the same type of thing: hay mows and hopefully cows, and the type of things that you'd find in a barn.
And events that people and families that never get a chance to experience. It's all new to them. And when they come to the fair, they meet up with friends, they build friendships, it turns into a family tradition for some people. So it's just good, wholesome fun that is hard to find these days,
And for people who've never been, tell us a little bit about the price range of coming in, either as a single or a family.
So it's $10 for an individual, but it's $40 for a whole carload. Doesn't matter how many's in the car, but you have to make sure you have your seatbelts on.
Typically 5.
Yes. But in all honesty, right now you can purchase your tickets online, which is kind of nice because also you don't have to wait as long coming through the gate if you already have your tickets purchased. But it's also cheaper for your carload. So it's a $35 fee to purchase your carload ticket online right now. So.
And what do you do in the case of, and I believe last year was a storm, was it last year or the year before there was a storm?
Yes.
How do you deal
Hurricane.
with instances of bad weather? Is it rebooked for a following weekend?
No.
Okay.
Now, last year was an exception because it was a hurricane, but it is a rain or shine show. Yes, it really is a rain or shine fair, and of course we all hope and hope and hope that it will be a sunny weekend and good weather, and so
Last year's weekend turned out to be
it
perfect.
was beautiful.
Beautiful sunny day both days.
Some of our best fairs have been when it's a little misty
Yeah.
because it's cooler, and it can get quite warm if you're
And
out.
good for the animals because we have horses and so
it's
forth.
not a bad day to
Yeah.
come down if it's a little bit of mist or something, or even a little bit of a shower. It's still good. There's enough tents there to cover most people, and so it's still good even if you have a little inclement weather.
I know you just mentioned the animals, and I know there's going to be sheep and the dogs this year, but there are always a lot of animals. Tell us a little bit about what kind of animals people can expect to meet if they're at the fall fair.
Well, we would have a homesteading coordinator, Christine Lanneman, and she organizes with some local homesteading families and farmers to bring different livestock into the fair. And I know she's still working on some of those pieces, but typically we would see geese and we would see chickens and goats. Often she has a fellow that brings his workhorse.
Pigs.
Rabbits and sometimes pigs. Yes, so she's still working on all those pieces to pull them all together, but yeah, it's usually a whole variety.
And I can't believe I've waited this long in the show to talk about the beautiful bird behind me. But tell us a little bit about why this is here and how it's involved in the fair.
Well, this was a neat partnership between Charlotte County Fall Fair, and we have a few neat partnerships happening this year, but this will be one of them. And this is with woodpecker wood carving, and it's Frankie Ornazin. He on Deer Island, and he does chainsaw wood carvings. And he did a partnership with us where he did this carving, and we're having him come to the fair on the fair weekend. He'll be carving 2 new sculptures, one on Saturday and one on Sunday as well, so people can have that experience of actually watching him do this. But this is something that we're selling tickets on. So he has prepared this, now we're selling tickets, and it will be a good way to raise some funds for Charlotte County Fall Fair, Ganong Nature Park, that will be helpful. And so it's a beautiful work of art, and so we're really pleased with it, and we're selling tickets. Cheryl's been our big ticket
Tomorrow
seller.
at the Superstore between 10 and 4, and then again on the 13th, and then the 11th and the 18th we're at Giant Tiger, which is very nice of them to allow us the space to be able to support the park, sell our tickets on our beautiful Eagle, and they're $5 each or 3 for $10.
Okay.
And it was nice of him that he donated that free of charge for us because he wanted to help out with the fair and the park as well. So that was pretty generous of the woodcarver.
Now, because the show will come out after tomorrow at the Superstore,
Oh, yeah.
tell us the dates that where people can buy it going forward in September.
Oh, in September, okay. So the next date in September is September 13th at the Atlantic Superstore between 10 and 4 p.m. We'll be set up there. We do cash. We'll have cash available for people paying cash for tickets, but we will also have a device so that they can pay and buy their tickets because it's an electronic world today, so they can use their debit or their credit card. Okay. And all funds, 100%, go towards supporting the beautiful Ganong Nature Park that so many families enjoy with their dogs and with their families. And in fact, the other day, I saw a lady unloading a horse, and she was using the park for a nice trot with her horse.
Oh, neat.
So it's a well-used park.
Wow.
But it needs our help to keep it going.
How do you, on that note, hope that the Fall Fair evolves and stays a part of the community in the years ahead?
I hope it grows and grows. And I hope we continue to get the crowds that we do get. you know, and it's just good, wholesome fun.
Colleen?
Absolutely. I agree. I think just having this continue to grow is just what we need, right? Yeah.
One of the groups that is coming that we didn't mention were the reenactors, and they've always been. We've always had.
They're a popular one.
Very popular.
Yeah.
And they set up and stay there the whole. Actually, they're there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they set their tents up and stay there the whole time. So, and they include this year. We're bringing some in from the United States who are coming to, and a lot of them are Civil War reenactors, and others are coming in as we have some Native people coming doing a. First Nations. Yeah.
Oh, exciting.
So, and it should be really interesting for people to see. Yeah.
Especially the young people.
Yeah.
Because we're in a little bit of a pampered world, so it gives them a taste of, wow, that's what they used when they get up in the morning. They had to cook that way and start a fire, and yeah.
On a personal note, why are you passionate about being involved in the Fall Fair? What is it that brings you back year after year to be a part, not just of going to it, but to be a part of planning it?
Well, I would say right off the top is I just lived up the road from the Ganong Nature Park, and back when Mr. Whidden Ganong owned that, and that was his summer home. And I used to take my kids down there to play, and he was so welcoming for them and such a kind-hearted man that it was one of his wishes in his will that the park be left for the people. And I think that's what is tender to my heart. So if I could do my little part to that, to continue to have what his wishes were, then that's my passion.
Hey, Colleen, what about you? What has drawn you to be a part of this?
I guess for me, our family's connections with Ganong Nature Park would go back to 20 years ago when our 3 children would have gone off to day camps that would have happened in the summertime at Ganong Nature Park, and I would drop them off at the gate and then pick them up at the end of the day, and they loved those days. We'd come home with all kinds of stories and exciting bits about what they've done and what they experienced. And then my husband has been a member of the board of directors for Ganong Nature Park for several years now, and our family, we've just always been around Ganong Nature Park and help out whenever we can, and this is just kind of the natural next step for us. Yeah.
And
Yes.
Peter, I've had the privilege of visiting your own farm, so I could almost feel your connection to the Fall Fair, but I'd love to hear in your own words why it's something that you feel so inspired to be a part of.
You know, I've been with every Fall Fair for 13 years, except the one in COVID. And one of the best things for me is that you reconnect with people in the county. Now, I know we all live in this very small community, but you don't see people. But you do at the fair, and you get a chance to sit down. There's no rush, right? You can sit down at a picnic table and have a conversation. And a lot of people that I see them only at the Fall Fair, and it's wonderful to reconnect. So I think that's probably, you know, the best part for me is that when you're there at the fair, you see all kinds of people from all around the county who are there either participating or they're there enjoying it. So. And it's interactive, right? We set everything up so that you come and do something. You don't just come and watch something. You come and do something for the most part.
We have just a couple minutes left in this show, and Cheryl, I'm going to start with you and put your marketing skills to a test to see why should people come check out this year's edition of the Fall Fair? What is it that they should not miss?
I think the main show, which is the sheep herding and the equestrian, is good. And not only that, but the music we have lined up. I mean, your entry fee to the gate gives you so much that you can take in on fair days, and just the whole, you know, day itself, like Peter said, it's relaxing. You can spend the whole day for what you pay for the $10 to get in single ticket. But I think it's just the whole atmosphere. We also have a Make It, Show It, Grow It in the main building. So people have worked hard in their gardens, and they've done their knitting and their quilting and everything that they are very good at, photography as well, painting. So you can go into that exhibit hall and see all the works of people that have passion in their craft. Yeah.
Cheryl did a great job setting the stage. Colleen, tell us a little more about what it is that people should be sure to check out at this year's edition.
I think another piece, because Cheryl's mentioned, what she's mentioned is so much of it. We have a new mascot this year. Patches, the Scarecrow, is our new mascot. And we are so proud of Patches. And so we plan to have Patches on site, walking around, and hope that people get a photo op with Patches as another opportunity for photos. And another piece is we also formed a partnership this year with Jessie Smith. And she has done a painting for us, an original painting that represents Charlotte County Fall Fair. And we can't wait for people to see that painting. It's absolutely spectacular. And we've actually made some posters that we'll have for sale, so people can take a little piece of Charlotte County Fall Fair home with them too, for a very affordable price. So anyway, I just think there's so much excitement in the air, and it's just basically a celebration. It's a great weekend.
We're big fans of Jessie, so I look forward to checking that out.
It's a great painting. She did a great
picked it up today.
painting.
It's gorgeous.
Yes.
Peter, final minute of the show is with you. Tell us a little bit about what can't be missed this year.
Well, first of all, we've already mentioned the men's club, but I think it has to be checked out because there'll be all kinds of antique equipment there, which people will like to see how things were done in the past. I said the reenactors. I think it's worth a walk by the enactors. You shouldn't go by those without doing it. But we have a number of interactive ones that I talked about, and one of them is the farm fair or the farm games.
Oh, the obstacle course.
Obstacle course. And kids love it.
Obstacle course.
And then Bernie's Body Blast brings a whole setup for people to challenge people with their physical skills. I think that has to be checked out because every year it's different, and the kids have a wonderful time on that, don't they? The kids zone is set up with all kinds of activities and various levels. The one that always amazes me is the tractor rides. I don't really understand why that was so popular, because we lug people all around that fair and they have a great day on the tractor rides. Kids
And they
love
don't
it,
get a chance
parents
to
love
do
it.
that.
Older people,
Yeah.
we have to help up on the trailer still. But anyways, it's great fun, and we give them a historical tour. So we set it in context with the county, and with the settlement, the first settlement on the island, which you see when you go right by it. Because
Well-
St. Croix is right off the park.
Yeah, it's cool. One thing that we haven't mentioned, and I think we should mention, is a thank you to the many sponsors that Charlotte County Fall Fair and Ganong Nature Park have, from businesses and individuals and corporations around our county and further that support the fair, because the fair couldn't happen without that, right?
without it. It's a
So
big
I
key
think it's
piece.
important for us to make mention of that as
Yeah.
well. So
They say it takes a village. Sometimes it takes a county.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you all for coming in today,
Well, thank you
and
for
I
having
can't wait
us.
to see you at the Fall Fair.
Good.
We'll look for
Thank you,
you.
Vicki.
My guests today have been Cheryl Hewitt, Colleen Winchester, and Peter Heelis of the Charlotte County Fall Fair, taking place September 21st and 22nd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Ganong Nature Park. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.